Hi, this is Mary Pat McKee from the Northside Farmers Market, and what we're going to cook today is a green soup. This is a fall soup recipe because we do get a lot of greens in the end of the summer and early fall, and it makes a nice warm kind of soup on a cold fall afternoon. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to put olive oil into the pot. First thing into the pot were the onions, followed by Swiss chard. I used Swiss chard today, and as you can tell, the greens are a little bit red, but they have a thick stem, so I pulled the stem off and chopped it into about the same size as my onion. That way you don't waste any of your ingredients, and it adds a little bit more flavor to it. But they do need to cook a little bit longer, so they are in the pot with the onion. And once the onions start to get a little bit brown, we're going to add the garlic in and cook that as well. I've minced the garlic, and now that's all into the pot. Give it a nice good stir. And we're just going to let that cook until things start to brown a little bit. Okay, we have our chicken stock. I'm just going to add a little bit to the pan because the onions and the Swiss chard are heating up just a little bit, and I want to make sure that they're cooking evenly but they don't stick. After the ingredients have simmered for about an extra minute, we're going to add all of the stock all at once. And I'm going to turn the heat up again so I can bring it to a boil. We're going to let this simmer for about 5 minutes uncovered. All right, now that that has simmered for about 5 minutes, what we're going to do is add the greens, the thyme, and the beans. First off, I'm going to go ahead and put in the greens. This is 4 cups of trimmed Swiss chard. And what you'll notice is that it cooks down rather quickly, and it reduces in volume quite a bit. But at first, it's going to seem like a very large amount of greens for the amount of broth that you have in here. But it will cook down quite considerably. Okay, the greens have cooked down a bit, and now I'm going to add the beans to the pot. Give those a stir. If you notice, the Swiss chard, the ruby Swiss chard, made the broth a really beautiful red color. That's what I like about this type of vegetable. It adds a really beautiful color to your food. Okay, now that the beans are in there, I'm going to go ahead and add the thyme. And I'll give that a stir. That was about a teaspoon of thyme. If you're using fresh thyme, you may want to use just a little bit more of that herb, because the dried one is a little bit more concentrated. Now we've stirred this around. We're going to let this simmer for about 10 to 20 minutes, and that's to let the greens soften up because they can be a little bit harder. If you're using something like kale, you're going to want to make it cook for the full 22 minutes. But if you're using something like spinach or a combination of things, somewhere between 10 to 15 minutes, and your greens will be tender enough for you to eat them. After about 20 minutes, I'm removing the lid from the pot, and I'm going to finish it by correcting a little bit of the seasoning. First of all, I'm going to add the juice of half of a lemon, and that'll bring up some nice tartness to the soup and give it a little bit of acid that everybody wants. One of the things, if you don't have a lemon or you forgot to buy it at the grocery store, if you have a little bit of cider vinegar, You could substitute 2 tablespoons of cider vinegar in place of the lemon juice to get the same level of tartness that you were wanting from the lemon. Then we're going to add about a teaspoon of salt, probably about 3/4 of a teaspoon just to start with. You don't want to over salt, and we can always add more. And then I'm going to use some fresh ground cracked pepper and season that. Then I'll give this all a stir, see how it's tasting. Now that our soup is cooked and we've seasoned it, we're ready to eat. There we go. Here's our green soup made with Swiss chard and cannelli beans and chicken broth. Bon appetit!